Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shah. All praise, glory, and honor goes to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rekakadash. Yahweh been the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai been the name of his only begotten Son, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Yahweh means he exists or he causes to become. Yahweh Shai means he delivers or he saves. Okay, and let's get into this Jacob's trouble, the M-O to the T to the B, and his prophecies, which is the spirit of prophecy and the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Now I'm going to start off with Jeremiah 28 and 8 to show what the prophets did when they came. And when the Lord sent them out, this is Jeremiah 28 and 8, it says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. So the prophets talked about these great kingdoms falling. This is why we saying Babylon the Great is gonna fall. Okay, now let's get into another one. Let's see here. I'm gonna start with this Matthew 10 too, because not only is he saying the great kingdom that we were in, he's declaring the end of this great kingdom that we're in. He's also telling us when we go out to prophesy, what other messages we given. This Matthew 10 and 5, it says, these 12 Yahushua sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, and as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Okay, so the kingdom of heaven is at hand, because the lost sheep of the house of Israel is the kingdom that he's talking about. They're the ones that's going to possess that kingdom. Okay, now let's go into some current situations that I want to get into now. When you go into these great kingdoms that he's telling us that we're going to prophesy against, this is what it's all about. Let's go into the New Testament and back up the Old Testament with that we prophesying against these kingdoms and these rulers. This is Ephesians 6 and 12. It says, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood. And what are we doing when we wrestling? We're prophesying. This is how we wrestling with these people. This is how we coming against them. We prophesying against them. See? And it's not a flesh and blood thing. We bringing the spirit of prophecy to them. It says, but against principalities. Principalities stands for governments and kingdoms. It says against powers, against the rulers, see, of the darkness of this world. See, this is what the governments do. They govern the mentality, govern the mentality of the people. It says against spiritual wickedness in high places. See, these people that's in high places, holding high office, they the ones that's prophesying against they the ones that's using wickedness and mind control. See, MK Ultra, propaganda. See, they're using these things to control the mentality of the people. Hypnotism, psychology. See, they're using all kind of mind tricks on the people. Now it goes on to say, jumping down to verse 16, it says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. See, that sword of the Spirit is what we fighting against. See, we fighting them with the spirit of prophecy. That's the weapon that we gonna be fighting with, which is the word of the Most High. See, and what is the word of the Most High? The law and the prophets. Let's get that. In Isaiah 8 and 20, it says, to the law, it's Isaiah 8 and 20, to the law and to the testimony. That's the law and the prophets. If they speak not according to this word, see the word, this is the word that he's talking about. The word of God. It's the testimony of the prophets, the prophecy. It is because there is no light in them. Okay, if they're not using these prophecies, which we see that these big time religions that use the Bible, they don't deal with prophecy. See, they have a philosophy that saying that the prophets is done away with, when the scriptures never said that he was gonna do away with his prophet. Now let's see, there's another one I wanted when it comes to prophesying against these great kingdoms. Oh, he says, take the sword of the Spirit. The sword of the Spirit. Let me add this along with that. 1 Timothy chapter 1, verse 18. It says, this charge I commit unto you, son Timothy, according to the prophecies which went before on you, that you by them, see, by the prophecies, might war a good warfare. See, use the sword of the Spirit, the weapon of the Spirit, which is going to be the prophecies. You're going to use the prophecies to war with these people. Like the elders say, take the spirit, take these people that's in these religions and these so-called Bible scholars, you take them into the deep end of prophecy and drown them with prophecy. We overwhelm them with prophecy because they don't understand the prophecy. Now let's go into some of these subjects. What was the kingdom is at hand? So he told his disciples to go preach the kingdom is at hand. See, and preach the kingdom is at hand to the lost sheep. Let's get that Acts and 6. What is he saying to the lost sheep? Well, this says perfectly about that kingdom. It's Acts 1 and 6. He says, and when they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, will you at this time restore again the kingdom to Israel? And see, that the point is when he say at this time. So they knew that it was a time that he was going to restore the kingdom to the Israelites. This is why he told them, go and preach the kingdom is at hand to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Because it was going to be a time that he was going to restore again the kingdom to the Israelites. This is what the disciples is asking him. Is it at this time? That's suggesting and pointing to he was going to do it in a specific time. They already knew it was a time that it was going to happen. Because why? The prophecy. Let's go into it. Now, when you go into Amos, Amos spells it out real nice and plain, but let's see the context of Amos chapter 9. And I'm going to start at 9. It says, for lo, because this goes with that Matthew 10 and 5. It says, for lo, I will command and I will sift the house of Israel among all nations. So this is why he said the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because they in all nations. They've been scattered in all nations, and they need to be sifted. It says, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. It says, verse 10, all the sinners of my people shall die by the sword, which say the evil shall not overtake nor prevent us. Because he gonna send the prophets to say, oh, these are the law. This kingdom is finna fall that you living in. These kingdoms is not gonna be reigning anymore. And let me get that real quick. Luke 21 and 24, it said, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword. This is what he said. All the sinners of my people shall fall by the sword, and shall be led away captive into all nations. See, they're gonna be being sifted out of these nations, and the ones that is not sifted, they're gonna be the ones that's gonna be sinners. See, gross sinners, and he's not gonna sift them. He's gonna sift the lost sheep of the house of Israel that's wanna keep his commandments and have the testimony of Yahweh, which is the spirit of prophecy. It says, and this is Luke 21:24. It says, and Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. Okay, Salakia. Say Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So now that's what goes back into the time. It's a time that the Israelites is going to be restored. The kingdom is going to be restored to the Israelites again. And this is the time that he's talking about. The time of the Gentiles is where the Israelites or at the end of the time of the Gentiles, when the Israelites kingdom is going to be restored. Now, when you go back to that Amos, this is what he's saying in Amos. Just what he's saying in Luke, he's saying the same thing in Amos. We left off at Amos 9 and 10. So the verse under 10 is this Amos 9 and 11. It says, in that day will I raise up the tabernacles of David that is fallen. So the tabernacles of David have fallen. They've been they've been scattered amongst all nations. See, they been drug away into slavery, pretty much. It says, and close up the breaches thereof, and I will raise up his ruins, and I will build it as in the days of old. So the Israelites got to be sifted. Then he's going to build their house, build up the Israelites like in the days of old. Okay? This is why he's saying the kingdom is at hand. Now, he's talking about these Gentiles ruling. Let's get into that. It says the Gentiles going to be having us in their kingdom. And Ezekiel 35 is when the Bible prophecy start to get to talking about the end time. Now this Ezekiel 35 and 2, it says, son of man, set your face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it. This is what Jeremiah 28 and 8 is talking about, that the prophets would prophesy against great kingdoms and countries. This is the great kingdom that it's talking about. Verse 3, it says, and say unto it, thus says the Lord Yahweh, behold, O Mount Seir, I am against you, and I will stretch out my hand against you, and I will make you most desolate. I will lay your cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and you shall know that I am Yahweh. Now he's talking to Edom, who is Mount Seir. When you go into Genesis 36 and 8, it tells you that Edom is Mount Seir. But look at verse 5. It's going to give you a timeline. It says, because you have had a perpetual hatred and have shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity. What was the time of their calamity? That it was scattered amongst the nation. See, after 70 AD, when the Romans came and sacked Jerusalem, they were scattered into all nations, like Yahweh said they would be. It says, in the time that their iniquity had an end. See, the end of the Israelites' iniquity is going to be the end of the Gentile time. Because the Gentiles, while the Israelites is in dealing with the captivity, they're going to be shedding the blood of the children of Israel. And mainly this Mount Seir, the nation of Edom. See, so these people is going to be shedding the blood of the children of Israel in the end time. This is an end time prophecy, because the Israelites is going to wake up in the end time and they're going to rebuild the house of David. Now, let's see. I want to go into that 35, but it's another one that I want, because another one that matched this Ezekiel 35 is Lamentation. Lamentation 4, starting at verse, is it 18? Yeah, starting at verse 18. It's giving you a timeline on when was the end of the Gentile time. This is why those disciples in Acts 1 and 6 say, is it at this time that you're going to restore the kingdom again to the Israelites? Because they already knew the prophecy. This is Lamentation 4 and 18. It says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go into our streets. Now, that was Jeremiah 28 and 8. So Jeremiah wrote Lamentation, and his scribe wrote Baruch. So this is the same person giving you the same prophecy about these Gentiles having the Israelites in captivity, having the Israelites in captivity at the end, in the end time. But it spells it out right here. It says in verse 18 of Lamentation 4, it says, they hunt our steps that we cannot go into our streets. So there go to Jacob's trouble. We'll get back to that. But it says, our end is near, our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. So at the end of the captivity, the end of the time when the Israelites' captivity is being fulfilled, what does it say about in Luke 21 to 24? When the Gentiles' time is fulfilled, this is what's going to be going on. You're going to have these people hunting the Israelites down. But let's get verse 19. It says, our persecutors are swifter than the eagles of heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains and lay wait for us in the wilderness. Now it's been a name, who is these people? Verse 21, it says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom. So that's what Ezekiel 35 said. Edom, O Mount Seir, they're going to have the Israelites in captivity, and they're going to be shedding the blood of the children of Israel at the end of their captivity, when they calamity has come to an end. Here in Lamentation 4 and 21, it goes on to say, it says, the daughter, O daughter of Edom, that dwell in the land of Uz, the cup also shall pass through unto thee. You shall be drunken and shall make yourself naked. And that make yourself naked is they gonna be exposing themselves. See, other people ain't gonna make them naked. they gonna make themselves naked. See, by having whistleblowers, by fighting each other, killing each other. But I want to focus on that 22. That this Lamentations 4 and 22, it says the punishment of your iniquity is accomplished. See, the days are fulfilled. Our end is come. This is the end of their calamity. It is accomplished. It says, O daughter of Zion, he will no more carry you away into captivity. So Edom have them in captivity. He will visit your iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover your sin. So in the end of the Israelites' captivity, he's gonna have Edom is gonna have the Israelites in captivity at the end of their captivity. See, and this is why Ezekiel 38 got to be put in context with Ezekiel 35, because the end days is all about the captivity of Israelites. They're not going to be in their land when they in captivity. They got to come out of captivity. So when you go into 36, is add on to that. Get right to the point of verse 5. It says, this is Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore thus says the Lord Yahweh, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen. Now you got some of these Yah Israelites, they try to say that, oh, see, he's talking about a whole nother group of people. He's talking about all of the heathen. No, he's not talking about all of the heathen. He's just giving you what these Edomites is pretty much. It said, and then that residue of the heathen is kind of like in Ezekiel 7 and 24. It says Edom is the worst of the heathen. But it says, and against all Idumea, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of their heart, with the spiteful minds, to cast it out for a prey. So you're going to have the Israelites in captivity to all Idumea. At the end of the Israelites' captivity, you're going to have the Edomites killing them by the force of the sword. So you got Ezekiel 35, and then you got Ezekiel 36. They got the Israelites in captivity. The Edomites is in the land of the Israelites. So then you get to Ezekiel 37. This is when the prophets come. See, Ezekiel 37, the prophets got to come before they go back into that land. They got to be woken up by the prophets. Where is it? I'm going to start with verse 9. It says, this is Ezekiel 37 and 9. Then said he unto me. So while they're in captivity, while the Edomites is in their land, this is what the Israelites, the prophets, is going to be doing. Prophesy unto the wind. Prophesy, son of man, and say to the wind, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe upon these slain, that they may live. Verse 10, so I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, and exceedingly great army. Who lived and stood upon their feet? Who was woken up? Verse 11, it says, then he said unto me, son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. So while the Israelites is in captivity under the Edomites is living in their land, then you're going to have the prophets wake the Israelites up. They're going to stand upon their feet. Then you jump into Ezekiel 38. Ezekiel 38 is not just, you don't just jump into that and go to talking about, the God, the Prince of Meshach and the Gog of Magog in the land of, Gog in the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, who is Russia, modern day Russia. You don't go into talking about them just randomly coming against the land of Israel. No, the Israelites is woke. It has to be waking up first, and they have to when they wake up, the Edomites is gonna be in that land. So you're gonna have to deal with these Russians and these Persians. What are they gonna be doing? When is they gonna come to against the Israelites that's in this land? Because when you go into let's see, 37. Look at what happened before they go back. Before Russia come against Israel. This is Ezekiel 37 and 21. Because I want to keep that Ezekiel 38 on the table. So now we can get it in context. While the Israelites is in captivity, they're going to be persecuted. The Edomites is going to be in the land at the end of their captivity. Because 36 is after 35. So the Edomites are going to be in the land of Israel at the end of their captivity. Yahushua in Luke 21 and 24 said that they're going to be in that land until the time when the Gentiles are fulfilled. Okay. And then this is supposed to happen in Ezekiel 37. Ezekiel 37 and 21, it says, and say unto them, thus says the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. Where is the northern kingdom of the Israelites? See, why is it just the so-called Jews and not the 12 tribes, not the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom? It's going to explain here. It says, upon the mountains, and I shall make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all. They shall be no more two nations, neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore. So they're not going to be two nations. See, they're not going to be divided and only the Jews going to go into the land and be attacked by the Russians. No. You got to have the Israelites in captivity, the Edomites in their land. They going to be woken up by the prophets. See, and then they going to go back into that land. So what's going to happen to the Edomites that's in that land? This is the whole point. If the Israelites going back into that land, what's going to happen? Something got to happen to the Edomites before the Israelites go back into that land. Now let's go into now, hold on real quick. Let's go back to Ezekiel 36 because there was something else going on. Okay, something else going on. Because it talked about while these Edomites is in the land. Where is it? Verse 5. It says, which one I want? Shame on the heathen. Okay. Look at verse 10. It says, and I will multiply men upon you and all the house of Israel, even all of it, and the cities shall be inhabited, and the wastes shall be built. This is what Amos is talking about. Okay. It talks about the other nations, I'm thinking. Verse 15. This is Ezekiel 36 and 15. Neither will I cause men to hear in you the shame of the heathen anymore. Neither shall you bear the reproach of people anymore. Neither shall you cause your nation to fall anymore. Okay. It said, when the whole house of Israel dwell in their own land, they defiled it. Oh, when they dwelt in their own land, they defiled it. Okay, he talks about what they did. Now he says, wherefore I will pour my fury upon them for the blood that they have shed upon the land. Okay. He says, verse 19, and I scattered them among the heathen. So he's giving the whole rundown of these Edomites going to be possessing the land. And he's talking about the history. He says, I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries, according to their way and according to the doings I judged them. Okay. And when they entered unto the heathen, whether they went, they profaned my holy name when they said, these are the people of the Lord and are gone forth out of his hand. Okay, they left out of the Lord's hand. It says, verse 21, but I had pity for my own holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whether they went. Okay, he's still telling the history. He said, therefore, the house of Israel, thus says the Lord Yahweh, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for my holy name, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whether you have went. I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I'm the Lord. The heathen shall know that I'm Yahweh. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, when I shall sanctify you before their eyes. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and bring you to your own land. So the Edomites is in their land, and he's still talking about the history, and saying, I'm going to bring you back to your land. Said, then will I sprinkle clean water upon you, and you will be clean from all the filthiness, and all your idols I will cleanse you. This is another thing. That baptism crap, going under some water. See, this ain't what he's talking about. He's talking about this. He's using water as a metaphor that he would clean his people. Okay, it talks about give them a new heart, putting the spirit into them. He says, and ye shall dwell, verse 28. This is Ezekiel, still in Ezekiel 36. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your God, the Most High. It says, and I also save you from the uncleanness, and going back into the uncleanness. I will multiply the fruit of the tree, and increase the field, and ye shall receive no reproach of famine among the heathen. Then shall you remember your own evil doing. So he's going into the heathen. It says, not for your sakes do I do this. Okay, he's still talking about talking about the history. Verse 35, he says, and they shall say, this land that was desolate is become the Garden of Eden, and the waste and desolate ruined cities are become fenced and inhabited. But he's saying he's going to take them back there, and everything going to be all right. It says, then the heathen that are left around about you shall know that I'm Yahweh, that I, Yahweh, built the ruined places and plant that was, and the plant that was desolate. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it. Okay. So he never did say on what he was going to do to these Edomites that's in that land. He just started talking about the nation of Israel and how he was going to renew their hearts and give them and clean them up and take them back into that land. Okay, so they're not going to go in that land filthy. Then you jump into Ezekiel 37 and talks about how the prophets is going to wake them up, pretty much giving you a step-by-step scenario on how they're going to wake up and go back into that land. He says, in verse 28 it says, and the heathen shall know that and the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forever. Now, let's go into this Isaiah, because Isaiah, I think I saw something in Isaiah 63 the other night when I was wrestling with this AI. It's Isaiah 63. Now, mind you, we talking about Edom, and we talking about them being in the land. Do the scriptures show them in the land in the last days? Now, when you go into Ezekiel 63, let me see if I can pull this up on my let's add to chat. What's going on with Isaiah 63? Isaiah 63. Okay. Is it end time prophecy? Let's see what it says. Is it end time prophecy? Isaiah 63. Okay. It's loading. Because in Isaiah 63, it's gonna talk about them being in that land. Look at it. Look at what it says. It says, yes, Isaiah 63 is widely interpreted as an end time prophecy focusing on the second coming of Yahushua Mashiach rather than his first coming. It depicts a divine warrior returning from Basra, Edom, with blood-stained garments after executing judgment, which commentators link to the Battle of Armageddon and the end of the Great Tribulation. So this is end time prophecy, Isaiah 63. So let's go into Isaiah 63 and see why these Edomites is in this land. What's going to happen? So Isaiah 63, and we're going to jump all the way down to 18. Look at what 18 said. Now hold on, let's get 17 to get a little context. It says, "O Lord," this is Isaiah 63 and 17. It says, "O Lord, why have you made us to err from your ways, and harden our heart from your fear? Return for your servant's sake the tribes of your inheritance." So the Israelites is begging him to return them, the tribes, to their inheritance, meaning return the tribes to their status and return them to their land, because this is what he gave them, a land. Now look at verse 18. It says, "The people of your holiness have possessed it but for a little while." Give the land back to the Israelites. Okay? The tribes. Give them back to the tribes, because we only possessed the land for a little while, and we got kicked up out of the land. And look at what he said. He says, "Our adversaries have trodden down your sanctuary." So it started off talking about how the Lord is going to come to Edom, okay, and he gonna execute vengeance upon these Edomites, okay. And then he goes into the history and he says, they begging him, saying, "Oh Lord, when are you gonna return us to the land? Return the land back to the tribe." And he say, and then they say, "Our adversaries have trodden down your sanctuary." So Edom is in the land, trodden it down, and they ask him to return the land to them. See, this is end time prophecy. Ezekiel talked about the Edomites being in that land in end time prophecy, and Isaiah talked about the Edomites in that land. Now, it stopped where the Edomites was in the land, and then it went straight into 38. Well, no, it went into the Edomites in that land in 36, and then 37, it shows how the Israelites will stand up on their feet and then return to that land. But it don't give you details of what's going to happen to the Israelites. I mean, what happened to them Edomites that was in that land, but Baruch 4 and 34, well, 4 and 31 goes into it. 31 on down to 35. Look at what it says. Ezekiel, I mean, this is Baruch chapter 4, starting at, I'm going to start with 30 to really get the context. It says, take a good heart, O Jerusalem, for he that gave you that name will comfort you. Miserable are they that afflict you, and rejoice at your fall. Miserable are the cities which your children serve. Miserable is she that received your son. So the sons is in captivity, pretty much. They're serving the other nation. And the Lord saying, I will comfort you. Verse 32, it says, miserable are I got that one already. Miserable is the children that, miserable are the cities which your children serve. So the cities that got us in captivity and we serving them, they gonna be miserable. Okay? Miserable are the people that have us in captivity. Who is that in the end time? The Edomites. Verse 33, it says, for as she rejoiced at your ruin and was glad of your fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. And see, this is going to plug in what's going to happen to them Edomites that's in that land when Yahweh shall come back. Okay, and Isaiah 63 gives it to you, but it's in another place here in Baruch 4. This is 4 and 34. It says, for I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. So those that rejoiced at the ruining of the Israelites, their children is miserable are going to be their cities, and miserable is going to be the people that had the sons of Israel in captivity. This 35, this 35, Baruch 35 in the Apocrypha, and it says, for fire shall come upon her from the everlasting. See, long to endure, and she shall be inhabited of devils for a great time. So these Edomites is in that land, and they got the children of Israel in captivity. Look at what it says here in addressing the captivity. It's verse 6 of the same chapter, Baruch chapter 4. It says, you were sold to the nations, not for your destruction, but because you moved the Most High to wrath, ye were delivered unto the enemy. Okay? So this is the condition of the situation. Look at verse 10. It says, for I saw the captivity of my sons and daughters which the everlasting brought upon them. So the Edomites in Ezekiel 35, they got the Israelites in captivity. And then they're shedding the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, when their iniquity had an end, at the end of their captivity. Okay, the Edomites got them in captivity. Then Ezekiel 36 and 5 goes into how they're going to be in that land. The Edomites is going to be in the homeland of the Israelites, and they're going to have them in captivity. Okay. Then Ezekiel 37 shows how they wake up, they stand upon their feet, then they go back into that land. But it don't give you what's gonna happen to the Edomites in that land, and it goes straight to Ezekiel 38, because this is where the confusion coming in. But we know in the end times, the Edomites is gonna be in that land, and in the end time, Yahushua is gonna come back, and he's gonna confront Edom. They blood is gonna be gonna stain his garments. Okay, and this one it tells you specifically about that land in Baruch 4 and 31 on down, or 30 and on down, goes into Old Jerusalem. So it's talking about Jerusalem, and it's saying that they're gonna be inhabited of devils for a great time. See, and then look at what's gonna happen. While they inhabited of devils, 36, it says, O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto you from the Most High. Lo, your sons come, and who thou sent away, they come gathered together from the east to the west by the word of the Holy One, rejoicing in the glory of the Most High. So while the Israelite, the Edomites is in that land, possessing that land, inhabiting that land for a great time, you're going to have the Israelites being gathered to go back into that land. But it's saying that fire is going to come upon those devils that dwell in that land. Fire is going to come from the everlasting upon them. Okay, when the Israelites is being gathered and taken into that land, because you got Edomites dwelling in that land. Okay, now that's another place where it talks about that land and who was in that land. I know what you call it, Ezekiel. Is it Ezekiel? I'm thinking Jeremiah. Oh, Jeremiah 51:51. There we go. But see, you got to understand the context of Jeremiah 51:51. Now I'm gonna read Jeremiah 51:51. Then I'm gonna go and get the context. It says, we are confounded because we have heard reproach. Shame have covered our faces. For strangers are come into the sanctuaries of the Lord's house. So it's saying that these strangers is in our land. And because let's get the context in verse 50. Verse 50 says, ye that have escaped the sword, go away. Stand not still. Remember Yahweh afar off, and let Jerusalem come to your mind. Okay, so the Jerusalem is the Lord's house. Jerusalem is the context. Let Jerusalem come into your mind. Okay, and then it said, we are confounded. We have heard of reproach. Shame cover our faces. For strangers are coming to the sanctuary of Yahweh's house. So Jerusalem got to be in your mind when you're reading Jeremiah 51 and 51. So it's going to be peoples in this land, but who is these strangers? It's talking about these strangers. It says, and as Babylon has caused the slain of Israel to fall, so at Babylon shall fall the slain of all the earth. So Babylon is the context, what it's talking about. But who is this Babylon? When you jump back up to verse 25, it's going into just what Ephesians, yeah. But Jeremiah 28 and 8 talks about prophesy against great kingdoms and countries, about evils and war. Okay, that war is coming to these great kingdoms. Prophesy against them, like the prophets of old. So here in Jeremiah 51 and 25, it says, behold, I am against you, O destroying mountain. That destroying mountain stands for the destroying kingdom. Okay, says Yahweh, which destroy all the earth. This is going to totally match Ezekiel 35 and 2. Ezekiel 35 and 3. It says, and I will stretch out my hand upon you. Okay, that's what he said in Ezekiel 35 and 3. And roll you down from the rocks, and will make you a burnt mountain. Okay, this is also what Baruch 4:35 said. Fire from the Most High is going to come and what is it? Destroy those devils that's inhabiting the land for a long time. And we went down to Jeremiah 51:51. It said that these strangers are going to be possessing the Jerusalem in the sanctuaries. Okay, and then I want to jump back to 50. Well, it's both of them, 51 and 50. 51, Jeremiah 50. Okay, they are in the context of Jeremiah 49. Okay, Jeremiah 49, it says, where is it? And I want to start at verse 17. It says, also, Edom shall be a desolation. So this is what you're talking about when you get to this Babylon. Edom shall be a desolation. Everyone that goeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof, as in the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, says Yahweh, no man shall abide there, neither shall the Son of Man dwell therein. So Edom is going to be destroyed by fire like Sodom and Gomorrah. This is what Baruch said. This is what going to happen to this Babylon too. Okay. Now I'm wanting to get into verse 20. Because see, I was arguing with the AI with this Jeremiah 49 and 20. Because they trying to say that, this is talking about an army, a military. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh, that he have taken against Edom. Okay? It says, and his purposes, that he have purpose against the inhabitants of Timon. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Now, when you're looking at this, the least of the flock shall draw them out. They trying to say the least of the flock is talking about the Lord's army that he gonna bring. Is gonna be the least of that army that's gonna come and draw the Edomites out. You see, but this is not what it's talking about. It's the least of the flock of the Edomites is gonna draw them out. I mean, it's gonna draw them out to war. It says, surely he that maketh their habitations desolate with them. So let's get this. Same verse is in 50. And 50 gonna give you the context of when the least of the flock is be drawn out. Okay, the context gonna start in 42 to get right to the point, and it's gonna show that this is not talking about ancient Babylon. Now, with the Edomites, it said that they're gonna be overthrew like Sodom and Gomorrah in the neighboring cities. This Jeremiah 50 and 40, speaking about the Babylon and the land of the Chaldeans. It says here in 40, as God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It's talking about this place going to be destroyed just like the Edomite was said to be destroyed. And I'm going to jump down to 42. It says, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man. It's not describing men. See, this, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel. This is not describing men. It's describing the bow and the lance. It says, like a man to the battle against you, O daughter of Babylon. Okay, now this is talking about how the Babylon, the daughter of Babylon, not ancient Babylon, but the daughter of Babylon is going to be destroyed. Okay, and I meant to get verse 41. It says, behold, a people shall come from the north, a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. So that goes into China is over there on the coast of the earth, right along with Russia and India, not India, but Russia and Iran, and all of those adversaries of Babylon the Great, America. But going into that land over there and going into the least of the flock, it says, verse 43, it says, the king of Babylon have heard the report of them, and his hand waxed feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pains as of a woman in travail. Okay, and so I'm gonna read 44 just in case I looked over something. It says, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. But I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? And who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before thee? Therefore, hear the counsel of Yahweh that he have taken against Babylon. So he's in the same situation that he said to Edom, that he's against Babylon, Edom. Now he's saying against Babylon. And his purpose is that he have purpose against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. So you got these Edomites and the daughter of Babylon being said that the least of the flock shall draw them out. It says, at the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. This is what Revelations 18 is talking about. That the merchants of the earth is crying out over Babylon being destroyed. But the least of the flock is not talking about this army being pretty much given the least of this army. It's not talking about the least of no army. It's talking about the least of the peoples of the Babylonians or the Edomites, which these Babylonians is Edomites. That's why Jeremiah put them all close together at the end of his book, and he showed how the same thing that was going to happen to the Edomites was going to be happening to this daughter of Babylon. Okay, so and then it showed how that least of the flock is these tiny small hats that's in that land, because when you go into the New Testament, it starts to address these things. Now this Revelation 2 and 9 is more of a dual prophecy. It says, I know your works and tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich, and I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but the synagogue of Satan. So they in that land talking about they some Israelites. When we know they are not no Israelites. Then you have another one in Zechariah, is it? Zechariah 9 and 6. It says, and a bastard, meaning this is not the Israelites, but a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. So he's saying this is going to be imposters in that land, bastards. That's why in Baruch 4 and 31 through 35, it talks about devils inhabiting that land for a great time. You got Jeremiah 51 and 51 saying that that land would be possessed by strangers. But you got to start from Jeremiah 51:49 and then get to 51. But it's talking about Jerusalem being possessed by strangers and going into the sanctuaries of the Lord. Okay. Then you have Isaiah 63 that's talking about the Edomites being in that land. The Edomites being attacked by Yahushua, and at the end of Jeremiah 63, it talks about I don't want to butcher it. Let's go back again. It says in 17, it says, "O Lord, why have thou made us err in your ways and harden our heart from your fear? Return for your servants' sakes the tribes of your inheritance." Where you want to return them to? The people of your holiness have possessed it but for a little while. Return them back to the land that they possessed, that you gave them, because they only been there for a little while. Who was in the land? Our adversaries have trodden down your sanctuary. This goes along with that Luke 21 and 24. These are the peoples in that land, and they got to be burned out of that land. See, fire got to come consume them in that land. Okay? And so they gonna realize, let's get that, they gonna realize that they don't supposed to be in that land. And I just read it in was it Ezekiel 37, was it? Or 36. Yeah, verse 37 and 38. It says, "And the heathen shall know that I, Yahweh, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them forever," because it was in the midst of these heathen. Okay, and Ezekiel 36. And I want to read that verse 2 of Ezekiel 36. It says, "Thus says the Lord Yahweh, because the enemy have said against you are high, even the ancient high places are ours in possession." See, and they took the nation of Israel in possession. They bastards in that land, and they got to be burned out of that land before any. That's why this thing is dragging on with the Iranians and these Edomites that's in that land. Amalek, they the one went and took this land. Real quick, let's get some more end time on Amalek being in that land. We dealt with the kingdom situation. Now, it says at the end of the calamity too, that they're going to have Jacob's trouble. Jacob's going to be in trouble, because when the prophets waking up, they're going to be exposing what I'm exposing now. That the Edomites is in that land, and they got to get burnt out of that land. See, and they don't want that to be exposed. But this number 24, going into the timeline, Ezekiel 24 and 17, it says, "I see him, but not now. I shall behold him, but not near. There shall come a star out of Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of scepter shall rise out of where is it? Salaki. Rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the children of Seth." Now, the Moab, China, is good adversaries with the Iran and Russia. These three be having drills, okay, and they not gonna come against they gonna come against that land, but Yahushua is gonna come and fight against them too, okay. So this is gonna happen in the end time. it says 18, it says, and Edom shall become a possession. Seir also shall be a possession for his enemies, and Israel shall do valiantly. Uh, it says, out of Jacob shall come he that shall have dominion, and shall destroy him that remaineth of the city. Okay, see, these Edomites is gonna be in that, remaining in that city when Yahweh shall come, and it's gonna tell you in verse 20 who gonna be remaining in the city when Yahweh shall come out of Jacob. It says, and when he looked on Amalek, he took up his parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nation, but his latter end shall be that he perish forever. So he gonna be on the scene where Yahweh shall got to come and take them as a possession and destroy the peoples, the Amalekites that's gonna be in that land. And they trying to point toward the Iranians, the Persians, who is gonna clicked up with Russia and try to say they Amalek. You see, try to say that the Arabs is Amalek when and they trying to say they eat them at the same time. See, they scholars, that's another thing. You go into the AI and you plug in who is Japhet. They try to say the so-called white man is Japhet and say that the Edomites is the Arab. But now you got these Amalekites over there, BB and all these other rabbis, they talking about that the freaking Arabs is Amalek. Okay? So which one is it? Is they Amalek or they what you call it, they Amalek pretty much, or is America? See, the rabbis talking about America is Amalek, is Edom too, but so called these peoples are Amalek. So you got these Israelis who's trying to claim that they the Israelites because they're in that land. They took over that land in 1948. They started trying to take the land in 1882 because they went in there persecuting these Palestinians, starting to focus on these peoples in that land. Then in 1917 they wrote up this Balfour Declaration and prepared up this letter, and they sent it to Walter Rothschild and the British government. Then in the night, well, even at that time, you had Woodward Wilson, the president, and this Jewish lawyer, Jewish Supreme Court person, say that they want to go in there and get that land and take all of these Jewish peoples into that land, pretty much making a plan for Amalek to go take that land. This is why what you call Ezekiel 36:5, it says they cast it out for a prey, and with despiteful minds. See, despite it was. And then let me get this Joel, because Joel goes into it too. Joel chapter 3 verse 2. They went in that land from 1882 to 1948, and these Edomite governments is the ones that went in there and did it. The so-called white men. See, he want to claim to be Japhet, which he is not no Japhet, no way, shape, form, or fashion. But I'm going to read this Joel 3:2. It says, and I would also gather all nations and would bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat and would plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel. So he doing this for Israel. Armageddon, gathering the nation. World War III. He's doing it for the Israelites, who they have scattered among the nations. This is what Amos 9:9 was talking about. Going to Deuteronomy and tell you this is one of the punishments that the Israelites are going to go through if they disobey the Lord. They were going to be scattered amongst all nations. Then Yahweh in Luke 21:24 talks about it, that they're going to be scattered amongst all nations. and fall by the edge of the sword until the time of the Gentiles are fulfilled. Okay, and this one is saying the same thing, that they were going to be scattered among the nations, and the land was going to be parted. So the people is going to take over the land. Now, to get right to the point, here in Joel, talking about somebody taking over the land. Here in verse 9, this Joel 3 and 19, it says, Egypt shall be a desolation, and Edom shall be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their land. Okay, so you got the what you got Edom being named, okay, after it said that these people are going to part the land. So that's showing you that these Edomites is the ones that got the Israelites in captivity. See, in this Joel 3, when you go into Acts, what you call it, consensus, because that's what the chat and the AI like to talk about, the census. The consensus of the verse is all saying that this is talking about the second coming. See, the second coming is talking about the nations being gathered. See, in this World War III, and they doing this, talking about they doing this in the captivity of the Israelites. That's one major point. And then they naming that the Edomites is the ones that's dealing with the captivity. So it's too obvious that the Edomites gonna have the land, okay? And the Lord got to go back into that land. And he's saying he gonna pay them back for what they did. They parted the land. They scattered the Israelites. How they gonna pay them back? Look at verse 7. It says, Behold, I will raise them out of the place where you have sold them, and will return your recompense upon your own head. And I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hand of the children of Judah. And they shall sell them to the Sabaeans, to a people far off, for Yahweh have spoken it. So these Edomites that's taken over the land, and maybe part of the land with the Arabs, because it's 1948. They say, oh, Truman said, oh, they can let some of the Arabs stay where they at. Let's don't run them all up out of there, because you tried to run them out of there in 1882, but that didn't work. And so let's try to do it gradually. And we done seen how these BB not a Jew done went in there in the 1948ers, done straight up rent the people up out the land, done slaughtered thousands of the people. But you see, it got it said part of my land, so they didn't got the total possession of the land. They got to deal with another set of people. And we know the Ottoman Empire was in that land, and they was bosom buddies with the Bolsheviks and Stalin, and who was ruling in World War II. You see, while this land was or before this land was being or while this land was being attacked by these Amalekites. Okay, and the Rothschilds, they had some British Zionist organization in 1899. See, I think it was established in 1899, something like that. Herzl. Let me get this Herzl name, because I keep forgetting his name, his first name. Theodore Herzl. See, he started way back in 1897. Then you got the Jehovah's Wickedness that started in 1879, trying to take these Amalekites back to that land, who had stole the identity of the Israelites. They converted in 740 AD with the King Bulan and these Khazarian peoples. Okay, and trying to say that they Japhet. So let me get through more before I close out. It says this Joel. Oh, I want Joel. I want Daniel. You know, before I get Daniel, let's deal with this Jacob's trouble a little bit more. This is Jeremiah 30:7. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." Now, Jacob's trouble got a lot to be going. It's a lot going on with the Jacob trouble, because see, when you go into 2nd Ezra 16, which they took out of the Bible, they removed. See, and I was battling the AI with that too, saying, well, you got certified facts that these so-called European whites and colonizers took out 14 books out of the Bible, took God's name out 7,000 times. You see, whitewashed the Bible, pushed their white supremacy, but you acting like you can still trust a mainstream interpretation. You keep bringing up, well, that ain't going with the history of the mainstream, and the mainstream interpretations crap. Or they'll just straight up just say, oh, well, this is the doctrine of the Israelites. They be trying not to give you an unbiased statement. Now, when you go into this say, for that day is great, so that none is like it. So the guy was in the Uber, and he said these so-called Edomites is done jumped in the car, and they talking to the children saying, man, we selling this house and selling this property. We gonna get rid of this and get rid of that, because we trying to go move this way and get out of Dodge. And he listening to him like, boy, these people really preparing for some major stuff. They trying to get out of town. So he's saying, man, what y'all got going on? So they tell him, yeah, man, we can't give you too much details, but whatever your worst nightmare is, it's finna happen in America. Say, whatever your worst nightmare, times that times 10, because that's what's finna pop off here in America. And you better get you and your family straight. You got 6 months to get your family straight, because here in America, it's gonna be your worst nightmare times 10. See, this is what the Edomites is talking about, and it's going along with Bible prophecy, which we've been telling these people. They're gonna be great miseries here in the last days. That's 2nd Ezra 8 and 50. Great miseries is gonna come upon these people in these last days. But let me jump back up to verse 6, because I like to bring this one out when it comes to Jacob's trouble. It says, as ask ye now, and see whether a man do travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So these grown behind men gonna be crying. They're gonna be in pain, holding their private part like a freaking woman that's her water about to break, or she having birth pain. Okay, this is how these men is gonna be, because it's gonna be their worst nightmares going on in these last days of Babylon the Great, America, when the Israelites is at the end of their captivity. See, and they're gonna be, this is what Lamentation was saying, they're gonna be hunting us down in the streets at the end of our captivity. They're gonna be persecuting us like eagles, see, in the end of our captivity. And real quick, let me get that 2nd Ezra to go into this Jacob's trouble, because this is what Yahushua was talking about in Matthew 24. Okay, this is 2nd Ezra 15, starting at 15. It says, for the sword and their destruction draw near. One people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their king nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they not gonna regard no government officials, man. They gonna be trying to get anything they can. It says, verse 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. They gonna have martial law, roadblocks, checkpoints. Verse 18 it says, for because of their pride, the city shall be destroyed, the houses shall be destroyed. The city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the men shall be afraid. Talking like Jacob's trouble. Verse 19, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. That's why they're going to be so afraid. But shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. See, the bread and the food is going to dry up because you got these wars popping off. So when you jump into the next verse, the next chapter in 2nd Ezra 16, here in verse 34, it says, in the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. So the wars is going to be destroying these young men. See, in the time when a lot of them start getting married, and they going to be having famine. Famine is going to be going on. Jumping back up to verse 22, it says, many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. Okay? Because it's going to be wars going on. This is why he say he's going to gather all nations, prepare the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men. See, tell the Gentiles that war is coming. This is what Jeremiah 28:8 was about. What he say? The prophets of old prophesied about, prophesied against great countries and great kingdoms of war, pestilence, and evil. Okay, because this is what's coming to this place. Look at verse 26 of 2nd Ezra 16. It say the grapes shall ripen, and who shall tread them? For all places shall be desolate of men. See, it's going to be desolate of men because people going to be hiding out. They're going to be trying to stay up out of the way because you got men that ain't going to have no pity on you. And see, these people going to be hungry. They're going to be resorting to cannibalism like they got in America. They done had episodes of cannibalism because they stuck in the mountains in the cold and about to die. So the only thing they can do is eat the people that done dropped dead. Okay, this is the kind of condition that this Babylon the Great America is going to be going on. But this is what the Lord telling his people in verse 40. It says, this 2nd Ezra 16:40, O my people, hear my word, make you ready to the battle. It's going to be a battle in these last days. And in those evils, be even as a pilgrim upon the earth. See, that's why Yahushua told them women, says, woe to him that gives suck in these last days of Jerusalem, because you gonna be like a woman in travail, because you're gonna be afraid for your children. You're gonna be afraid for your family. See, because you don't sit up and had a baby, a suckling baby, when all heck is going on. When the greatest time, or when the most evils is happening in the world, you finna have a baby during this time. Okay, and so that's what that Jacob's trouble is gonna happen, because when the kingdom is being transitioned to the Israelites, and before the land of Israel is destroyed and cleaned out, before the Israelites can go back in there, you're going to have Jacob's trouble here in Babylon the Great America before Russia destroy. Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, and NATO destroy Babylon the Great America and the state of Israel. We see who got teamed up with each other. The new United States and the so-called state of Israel. They teamed up together. See, and they fighting each other's battle. But you done teamed up at the wrong time, and you done teamed up against the wrong people. And the Lord is going to make them pay the ultimate price, because World War III is going to be a major situation. But they going to they doing all of this, and the Lord got them doing all of this because he's going to bring that final temptation of that MO to the T to the B, that grain of rice, that yoke that these elites want to put on all the people. See, and put some kind of brain chip in the head, do some kind of put some kind of tracking device inside the people. And so he gonna pretty much bring that first before he get to blowing up these countries, destroying America and destroying the the state of Israel. So I just went through these prophecies and laid it all out. I'm gonna go to Daniel 7 and 18, and go and close on out. We had a bunch of wind in the city, and the wind is just outrageous. So the camera gonna either get flipped over, or the camera is gonna have so much wind coming through where you can't hear what they're saying. It says, this is Daniel 7 and 18, it says, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. So this is what Yahushua said. Seek the kingdom first, and everything else will be added to you. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, and Kakadash. Double honors to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the descendants of slaves, scattered around the globe on slave ships and through many captivities. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.